Welcome to this video where I'm going to explain and demonstrate how I've taught Book of Mormon stories to my children in primary before. This is a really great song to use in the year that you're doing Book of Mormon, for Come Follow Me, obviously. And what I did the year that we did it was I actually matched each verse to when we were covering that story. So the first two verses are very general, and we just spoke about how Nephi and Lehi and his family, they were all coming over from America to Jerusalem, and then the Lamanites then splitting off. So that's kind of, we just do those two right at the beginning of the year. But then the later verses, you have Abinadi and Alma and Ammon and the 2,000 stripling warriors and Samuel the Lamanite, and then Jesus Christ as well. So I then matched it, and we just did a verse. We learned that verse on the appropriate Sunday, and then we actually got to sing this one for the primary presentation as well. So it was a great one to do. So I've done this one with actions. And this is one that probably, so I grew up singing the first two verses as well, and we had actions that we did for it. But I then decided, okay, let's come up with actions for all of the different verses. And so it was one that the kids really enjoyed. And what I've done is I've actually handwritten all of the words for the song. That also just helps me to internalize and memorize the words. But then it allows me, I just use different colors for each verse so that I could easily see at a glance where I was on the page, which verse I was looking at. And it's just either a little word to prompt me what the action was, or some kind of arrow or picture or something just to help me remember what the action is. So I'll have that going down the side as I go through the video as well, just so you can see that. And if you want to copy my notes as well, you're welcome to do that. So just to take you through it from the beginning. So Book of Mormon stories, so just doing an open book with your hands that my teacher tells to me. So then just doing this like megaphone kind of thing with your hands. Are about the Lamanites in ancient history. So for all the Lamanites ones, we do this like bow and arrow kind of thing. So pulling apart the bow and arrow. And then for this one, because it's quite a long line, I then use my other arm to kind of be the arrow that's going and flying and then landing. So generally we just do this action for Lamanites every time throughout the song, but that particular one in the first verse, because it's such a long line, also have the arrow going over. So long ago their fathers came from far across the sea, so kind of do the sea motion with your hands. And then the last three lines, or kind of phrases, use the same action every time, although the words are not the same for each verse. So it's given this land, so you put your right hand out, if they live righteously. So right hand, left hand, and then you cross over and you bow your head. Okay, then the second verse, so Lamanites, so again, I'm going to do this bow and arrow action. Lamanites met others who were seeking liberty, so do this binoculars action. And the lands whom welcomed all who wanted to be free, so welcoming everybody. Book of Mormon stories say that we must brothers be, so it's open book again. And then it's given the land if we live righteously. So we have that action again. Then we go to Alma. So for each of these verses that we have prophets, I used just something to indicate the letter. So A, there are lots of A's. We've got Alma, Abinadi, Ammon. So there are three different A's, but making a kind of a tint with your hands to make an A. Alma was rebellious and he fought against the light, so crossing your arms for this fighting. I didn't want to do like a sword fighting kind of thing, because that's not the way he was fighting. He was being rebellious. So I thought this X would be a good way to do it. Then one day an angel came, so you make your fingers into a halo just above your head. Then one day an angel came to turn him to the light, so you just turn your body. Struck before his brethren, Alma learned humility, so praying hands. Then he taught in the land righteously. Then we have Abinadi. So don't forget Abinadi. So again, an A for Abinadi, who stood before the king. So here we want to do a crown. So the halo is above the head, but a crown is sitting on the head. And you can kind of either just do it round or kind of try and put your fingers up to make a crown, however works for you. So before the king, all chained up from head to toe. So do this like spiral going down to indicate the chains. The gospel he to bring. So again, this megaphone kind of speaking. If he would deny it, so again, we're going to have this cross for deny. Then the king would set him free. So you can just kind of go out with your hands as if the chains are breaking off. He was true and he died righteously. And there are some children who don't know the story of Abinadi. When I did this the first time, and they were quite shocked that he died. But to be able to explain yeah, things don't always work out perfectly just because you're following Jesus, but he died righteously. He went straight, he was able to go straight to heaven. So just to kind of help them to see the positive side of it, if they are a little bit shocked, you can just watch their faces when you're doing it and see if it's needed. Okay, then we get another A, Ammon. So Ammon was a missionary, so kind of draw a little tag on your shirt, who's serving Lamanites, so this bow and arrow again, tending King Lamoni's sheep for several days and nights. So we're going to do this like going over, it's the sun and then the sun and the sun, these days that we're indicating. Robbers came, so you kind of cross your eyes as if you got this, this cover on your eyes. Robbers came, he saved the sheep by fighting fearlessly. So now we can do a sword fight because he did actually use a sword to cut off people's arms. He had learned he could live righteously. And then we have the 2,000 stripling warriors. So here I thought just to kind of put your hands up as if you're indicating like all these lots of people, we're never going to do 2,000, but anyway, these lots of different people who are all over the place. So once 2,000 sons of God were called to fight the foe, and again, a sword fight is appropriate, they're going into battle, marching as an army, so you can kind of just get them to be marching on the spot or just marching with their arms, doing the marching motion with their arms as they stand still, marching as an army into battle day to go. They believed that Christ the Lord, so pointing up to heaven, their guardian would be, so like doing a staff or a guardian, so some kind of staff as if he's the guardian. They had learned they should live righteously. Then we get to the first one, that a prophet that isn't an A. So we have Samuel. So you're going to draw an S with your hands. Samuel the Lamanite. So the bow and arrow to indicate is a Lamanite. High on the city wall. So you're going to pretend you're looking down as if you're looking down off the wall and just cover your eyes to kind of indicate the sun's shining. You're outside. Came to warn the people. So he's going to preach and he's speaking, and repentance was his call. So we're wanting to come unto Christ. They're wanting to come and turn to Jesus Christ, returning to him. Arrows could not hit him. So again, we're going to do the bow and arrow. So this is the only one that isn't actually saying the Lamanites, but this is literally, it's an arrow. So arrows could not hit him. For a man of God was he. So you can just put your hands on your hips like the Superman. He's standing as if like, yes, I am standing firm. I am a man of God. And he taught in the land righteously. And then we get to the final verse. And so for this one, we want to do this one nicely and slowly because we're now speaking about Jesus Christ. So to indicate the reverence that we have there. So after Christ was crucified, so I put my hand up and then he's going to go down as if he's now dead. So he's up on the cross and he went down into the tomb. So after Christ was crucified and died for you and me, he came forth to teach the truth, so again, this megaphone kind of thing, to all who would be free, so indicating everyone. Hands were laid upon each head, upon each child. He blessed them tenderly. So just putting your hands and moving it around slowly. So the music does slow down nicely, and you can just do this. He's going to each child and blessing them. And they lived in the land righteously. So these children that were blessed and they were able to then continue living throughout their lives, that generation stayed faithful. So it's a really nice one to be able to do actions. They can visualize the stories and you can kind of get some actions that help them to see the stories as well. And then doing it throughout the year means that you're continuously coming back to it. If you have time on that week, you can go through all of the verses you've done up to that point. Otherwise, just adding that single verse, and then they can sing that for a week or two while you're working around that character, that person in the Book of Mormon. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this one.